the process of becoming licensed here in the US and the steps that you need to take to become licensed in the US. So the first thing you're going to do as a foreign graduate is you're going to be in contact with the NABP. If anyone wants to get in contact with me, my email address is VishaalUKtoUSA at gmail.com. Aaron will put that in the video. Is that correct? Aaron will put
Yes.
that in the video. And you guys can just message me about anything pharmacy related. Um, TOEFL, if you want more information on the process, or if you want to ask me questions about my experience, you can ask me specific questions or general questions. Feel free to email me. You're gonna apply to the NABP, and they're gonna ask you for two things. One of them is your pharmacist license in your home country, and they're going to want proof of that, and it's going to have to be active as well. The second thing is your education credentials. So they'll use a company called ECE to evaluate your credentials from back home, and they will compare those credentials to what they have here in the US, and make an evaluation based on that and forward that information to the NABP. Once the NABP have both of these things on your file, as well as your application, then they will give you the green light to take the FPGE pending on your TOEFL scores. So it's important to get your TOEFL completed as soon as you can. Um, that would be my advice. The next step is once you have passed your TOEFL and you've been given the green light for the FPGE, you will need to pass the FPGE, and the FPGE is held once a year in October. So there's a lot of pressure. You'll feel as though there's a lot of pressure on passing that exam because it's once a year. So that one will require some preparation. Once the FPGE is passed, the next phase is your internship. Now, you will move away from the NABP, and uh, it will be your state board that takes over at this point. So you'll apply to your state board for an internship license, and they will have their own set of criteria that you have to meet. But one of them is the FPGE certificate. It used to be that they gave you a physical certificate in the past, but now everything is posted online. So your state board will be able to access all that information online. Once you get the green light for your internship, you'll have to complete around 1,500 hours, depending on your state. Once you've completed these 1,500 hours, you will submit the hours to your state. They'll review it, and you will begin an application for your pharmacist license. You'll be doing kind of two things simultaneously. You'll be applying for your pharmacist license, and they, as long as you've completed your hours and they're happy with everything, they will give you the green light to take the NAPLEX and MPJE, and you'll have a pharmacist license pending, uh, based on depending on your NAPLEX and MPJE results. So you'll have a pharmacist license that you've applied for, it's pending, and then you are in the process of studying for your NAPLEX and your MPJE. Once those two are passed and cleared, those results will be posted to your state board. And once they review your file, which will include everything from everything from the NABP, that the all the information the NABP have given them, and your results, they'll combine everything together, and if everything is good, they'll post your license within between 1 and 2 weeks, and th at that point, you will be a licensed pharmacist.
I like hearing about this process, and where I come into play is with the TOEFL, with speaking 26 on the TOEFL. And here's what I've heard people tell me. They say that for them, step number one is the TOEFL. They're going to do their research on the NABP's website, but step number one for them is to pass the TOEFL. And the reason why they say this is because the fees and expiration date that you might tell me is something like 2 years, the fees are so expensive and the expiration date puts pressure on them to where they don't want to start the original license review and ECE review until they have already passed all four of the TOEFL's requirements in one sitting, in one exam. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. My personal situation didn't allow me to take the TOEFL before I applied for my application to the NABP. Um, I guess I could have, but once I arrived to the US, that's when I began my application. So I didn't want to delay my application, I guess. But I would recommend that if you're able to pass the TOEFL, it'll give you a peace of mind, and it won't eat away at the 2 years because you have they give you a 2 year limit. Once they open your file, once they open your application and receive all your documents, at that point, you have 2 years and the clock begins to tick. So yeah, if I could go back and do things again, that would be one thing I would have done differently, and that's taking my TOEFL before doing my application to the NABP. I did read something about people who, there were a lot of people who were struggling to pass the TOEFL within 2 years, that the NABP changed the rules because of that. Now you have to pass the TOEFL before they allow you to, before they give you the green light for the FPGE. Yeah, the TOEFL is something. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, out of all the exams I took in this whole process, the 2 3 year process, the only one I failed was the TOEFL. So that's not saying the other ones are easy, they're not, but the TOEFL's the trickiest one that I had to come across. So yeah, if the smart move would be to take the TOEFL first and get it out the way, so it's just something you don't really have to think about, moving forward. Then you can focus on your FPGE and the other elements of the application.
There it is. The smart move is to take and finish your TOEFL first.
Yeah. Um, and I mean, I remember when, when I took my TOEFL, the first two times, the first time I failed, it was fine. I got 25 in the speaking, and I was like, it's not too bad. Next time I'll get 26. I'll get lucky the next time. Next second time I failed, it was more demoralizing because I got the same result, and in the actual exam, I felt like I improved. I felt like I had improved. Um, I'd worked on myself, and I was like, okay, this is it. This is the one. I felt more confident, and I still missed the speaking by one. And I was like, come on, by one? Like, what did I do wrong? I think I paid. You can pay for like a review. What's this? What's that? I mean, can you explain?
Request, yeah, you can request a score review.
Yeah, I think I requested a score review for the second one. But it didn't really tell me that much. It, it wasn't, it didn't tell me exactly what I needed to do to pass. And then, that's when I spoke to you, and we held our 3 sessions, and that's what kind of took me over the edge. But I just remember feeling quite demoralized after the second time. And it's it's an expensive process. TOEFL isn't cheap. My recommendation is getting the TOEFL done as soon as you can. I think even focusing on the TOEFL and um, I mean, honestly, I would even ignore everything else and just focus first solely on the TOEFL before you move on to the other things.
Yes.
Exactly what you're saying. Focus on one thing instead of trying to do like 12 different things and failing at 12 different things. Focus on one and put all your energy into it. Um, you're more likely, I think, to do well. You know, it's like anything. You know, when I understand multitasking, um, but I think it takes away the focus from, you know, the one task that you need to pass. If you're trying to do four different things, three of those are actually irrelevant at the time of speaking. You know, um, you're just gonna take away your energy, time, and focus. And I mean that's what I did when I did the TOEFL. I wasn't I wasn't looking at the FPGE. I wasn't looking at the NAPLEX or the MPJEs. I was solely focused on passing the TOEFL. And it took a lot of practice. I remember, I was recording myself. That's, you advise that too, record yourself,
Yeah.
speak, record, listen to what you're saying. And I did a lot of that until I felt confident. I think a lot of this is to do with confidence as well. You have to build confidence. And I think confidence comes with experience. And experience comes with hard work and time. So if you're putting in the work, you're putting in the time, you're repeating it over and over again, slowly, from all the chaos, it's gonna narrow into into precision.
Yes. Yeah,
I
I
hope I
like that you
explained
said
that
there.
well. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, everybody, it makes sense to everybody, the confidence part that you said. That's the part everybody agrees with and wants more of, that real confidence when they're taking their TOEFL, especially for speaking 26. The
Mhm.
part that people also probably logically agree with you, Vishal, but emotionally don't want to agree with you is when you said hard work. So this is where I'm going to come in. Vishal said that your confidence increase will come with your hard work. Nobody who wants to do hard work. You guys don't want to do hard work. Who wants to do hard work? Here's the hard work that he is saying. I'm going to say that the hard work equals intentionally getting out of your comfort zone.
Mm.
That's the hard work that leads to confidence for speaking 26. Intentionally getting out of your comfort zone. Test takers, instead of what most of you are doing, which is intentionally avoiding native English speakers who aren't from your country, who aren't from your culture, or instead of avoiding the real test in the test center, you should be going towards those things. When Vishal said hard work, I heard getting out of their comfort zone in order to increase their genuine confidence. And those are my two recommendations for you, test takers, on how to do that.
You're good, Aaron. That was really good. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Exactly what you said. Get out of your comfort zone. That's the hard work. Because like when I came to this country, well, I guess one of the good things is I did start working almost straight away. So I was speaking to other people, other Americans, people who have grown up here, as opposed to being in my comfort zone and just speaking to my friends and family from back home. I was kind of forced into speaking to people at work. But you mentioned a good thing as well. Don't just speak to people at work. Speak to people in the grocery store because that's going out of your comfort zone. At work, you kind of everyone is forced into speaking to each other. In the grocery store, it's different, So that that really that's a very good point.
Yeah. grocery
We
stores, cafes, gyms, electronic stores. You guys, and look at, notice this, by the way, notice Vishaal's recommendations. Free, 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 free. It doesn't cost money. Instead of costing money, it costs courage. It costs bravery. It costs a decision to increase your confidence by getting out of your comfort zone.
Yes, very true. And the good thing here is in the US, a lot of people are willing to speak to you about pretty much anything. You can strike up a conversation quite easily with Americans anywhere. So, I recommend going out there and building the courage and finding the courage to speak to other Americans about anything, anything spontaneously that comes up into your head. Um, a lot of Americans are willing to speak to you. So go out and, use that as practice.
Can I play devil's advocate here? Can I give you the perspective that I know a lot of people are thinking? Ah, Vishaal, that's easy for you.
Mhm.
You were born in the UK. People love your accent. Maybe they don't love my accent. Maybe they feel negatively towards my accent, and striking up a conversation with Americans isn't the same for me as it is for you.
I would disagree because even though my even though I have an English accent, it's not like the Queen's English. I wasn't, it's not, but when people over here in the US, they hear me speak, they don't always assume that I'm from the UK. They just hear an accent. So, it's not entirely true. But the other thing I will say is Americans are actually interested in people outside of their culture a lot more than people within their culture sometimes. Whenever I'm speaking to people, they're always interested to know about where I'm from, and they always assume it's India. They assume it's India, so they're more interested in the fact that I'm from India and they want to know about India, even though I have very little experience of India as a country. Um, they want to know more about India than they want to know about anything else. So I don't know. I would disagree. I think the people here, generally speaking, they are very interested in people of all types of backgrounds from all over the world. So, um, yeah, I see where you're coming from. The fact that we may speak the same language, so there's a familiarity, but I don't know. Americans tend to go against the grain, I think. They like things that are from outside their culture. They're curious,
Yes.
very curious. I think that's the word. So I wouldn't let that uh, hold you back. Actually, I think being from a country where English is not the first language, it might even be to your advantage because you have a lot more to talk about that would interest people who have been brought up and raised in America because they don't see that every day. They
Right.
don't experience it every day. So they want to know they want to know about these differences and the things they might see on TV, but they don't see every day. So
Yes.
yeah.
Use it, you guys, use it to your advantage, like Vishaal just said. Did you notice his perspective there? He had an optimistic, positive, use it towards your advantage perspective, unlike many of you, my test taking friends, who are viewing it negatively and from a scared perspective. He's
Mhm.
right. Americans are interested. Now, not everybody is going to be kind to you. Here's my recommendation. If this video and audio inspires you to take action to increase your genuine confidence so that you can pass your TOEFL faster, here's my advice to you. If you're going to decide to go do something like this at a grocery store, cafe, movie theater, gas station, gym, plan to talk to 3 people, because maybe you're going to be so awkward during your first encounter that it leads to an awkward encounter. So I would say, or maybe you just come across the rudest person in your city the first time, unfortunately. But if in your mind you say, I'm going to talk to three, regardless of how the first one goes, you have a much higher likelihood of having an overall good experience with the three. That, why are we doing this? Translates to you getting out of your comfort zone and increasing your genuine confidence. Last thing I want to say in reply to what Vishaal said, as most people know, Americans don't travel. They should, but they don't. So when you, somebody from a different country, comes with a optimistic, use it to your advantage type of perspective, like you just heard from Vishaal, or if you're not able to muster that type of optimism, can you at least approach it with neutrality? When someone like you approaches a conversation with an American with at least neutrality, they are going to be interested. I can learn from somebody. I don't get to travel today, but by talking to this person vicariously, it's like I get to travel. Thank you, Vishaal, for encouraging people to use it towards their advantage.
Yeah, of course. And just from my experience, I've been living here almost 3 years now. In the beginning, I was nervous, and even to this day, I guess it's just a character trait that I'm generally nervous. But when over time, the more you speak to Americans, you realize that they're not threatening. They're actually very curious about where you're from, and they want to learn and they want to speak. They really, I find them very easy to begin a conversation with. Um, a lot of it begins superficial. So you'll say, "Hey, how's it going?" Most of it's superficial, but you from the superficial talk, you start building bridges, right? And
Right.
then as the conversation goes and it flows, and maybe you hit on notes that you both vibe to, I guess, or you agree to, then more and more of these bridges form, and you start breaking down that barrier. And one thing about Americans is that barrier is quite thin. They're very easy to speak to. That's my experience. And I know, actually, I'm pretty confident that if other people out there go out there and speak to Americans, they'll find the same thing, that they're very easy to speak to strike up a conversation with, um, and build their confidence with, to pass the TOEFL. That probably is the best way to go about this, because you know it's free. You're speaking to people, they're going to speak back to you. That's how it is here. Everyone has an opinion, everyone has something to share. Um, so you will be able to speak to people, and you'll be able to build your conversations the way they ask you to. Because in these TOEFL questions, you have to build. There's an idea, and you have to build on it. And practicing with people who you don't know is the best way to do it.
Yeah. Build on the ideas, progression of ideas, topic development. Excellent. Okay, guys, so that's it for this episode. Vishaal has his own podcast. It's linked in this video. You can find it through my YouTube and Facebook. You can also send me an email if you want help finding it. And Vishaal, where can people see more of your videos?
Yeah, so my videos, I have my own channel. If you search for Vishaal UK to USA, you should find me on YouTube or Facebook. Um, and if you guys want to email me, it's VishaalUKtoUSA@gmail.com.
Disclaimer: the information provided is for general informational purposes only and is presented at the individual's own risk. It is not intended to defame any entity or individual. Aaron and his guests make no representations or warranties of any kind, either express or implied, regarding the completeness or suitability of the information. The views expressed by Aaron and his guests are not affiliated with, approved by, or endorsed by any entity or organization, including, but not limited to, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, the Test of English as a Foreign Language, TOEFL, and Educational Testing Service, ETS. ETS.
The main purpose behind that video is to educate other students that everyone has their own way. Okay. But just go like stick with someone. Believe me, like the templates, maybe some people will get the 26 using templates, but it's not because they use the strict template, the templates as it is. It's because they developed their own fluency that could overcome the structure of that template.
A person that you can see and hear, the speaking templates are wrong. Because to get 26 on speak, and when you see somebody who did get 26 on speaking or above, and they tell you they use the speaking template, they did not get 26 on TOEFL IBT speaking because of the speaking template. No, they got 26 on TOEFL IBT speaking in spite of the limiting nature of the speaking template. They got 26 on TOEFL IBT speaking because their speaking fluency was so good, is so good, that it was able to overcome the limiting structure that is speaking templates.
I never got 26 using AI website.
Okay, but you did on the real test after meetings with me.
Yeah.
If you want to see more videos with people giving you their best advice on how they got their 26 on TOEFL IBT speaking, you can watch that YouTube playlist. It's connected to this video, and you can find it by searching for TOEFL IBT Speaking 26. You can also find it by going through speaking26.com. These are people who before were not getting 26 on TOEFL speaking, and after did get 26 and pass their tests. I asked them, hey, can you give your best advice to people who are still taking the test? How did you go from not passing to passing?
When I read about the TOEFL exam, I didn't really think much of it. I just thought, okay, straightforward thing. It's an English exam. How difficult can it be?
The pharmacy board needs specifically 26 in speaking.
I used to change the template. Maybe this is more advanced, so I will use this the next exam, and I try to practice this for maybe a month or two to be able to master it, to say it without thinking. Every time I found myself getting maybe less score or the same score. It doesn't make any difference to just change the templates and use different introductory words. It didn't make any difference for me. Some of my friends advised me to start taking sessions with you.
This helped me in passing my TOEFL exam. Erin helped me to pass and get 26.
Erin, actually, any words will not be enough. But really, I'm very thankful.
26 in speaking, and I finally got it, and I'm so excited to get to the next step in my pharmacist license.
Look at my accent, look at people who got 26. So just surround yourself with people who motivate you.
Look, I passed. That bit that's missing is probably the most important bit to get you to 26.
Yes.
And that's the bit where Aaron, I felt, helped me realize where I was going wrong. And that bit where I was going wrong, I think it goes for everyone. It doesn't matter whether you speak English is your first language or not. That bit that was missing is something everyone really needs to understand in order to get that 26.
Once you are in the level that you need to become advanced in order to get the 26, you need to get rid of the templates.
Template will hinder your ability to deliver the question, because it shows that you are reading something or you are not speaking, you are reading.
I was using completely different template or different way. I started to apply your way, and once I started to practice your way, oh, it's easy for me.
That was really good for me. It really helped me because with this in my mind, I could speak faster, and because I was confident.
It's challenging, but after you pass it, the feeling of victory it's worth it.
As English is my first language, I thought the speaking templates would be enough to get me the 26 that I needed. Unfortunately, it wasn't, and I only scored a 23. Your lack of getting 26 is not due to your speaking ability. It has been due to your less than optimal strategy. Get rid of the training wheels.
The templates were like, oh my God, why did they create those templates?
Aaron, you are a big helpful for students like us. We need somebody to like stir revolution in our heart inside, give life to our conversation. And this will never happen through other sites like they have exact traditional pattern, the template, first, second, for example. Don't say, for example, the second time, for instance. Really? And like robot, I felt myself without life. I don't have the freedom to speak.
You don't have to worry that much about how can I mention 2 reasons with 2 details or 2 examples. It's too much for me. You help students to increase their fluency.
Instead of following that speaking template or any other speaking template, trust your fluency.
For the students who are taking with you, trust this guy. He's amazing. He will shift or improve your level as soon as possible.
Like just jump my score from 23 to 26, like this. How many hours I took with you? 5. Look at this. 5 hours in 2 weeks. I passed my test.
I was surprised that I passed after 5 sessions together.
I hope you keep inspiring and helping more pharmacists and more other students to achieve their goal and become a professionals here in the United States.
If I had just, found you earlier.
For people who's really, they have concern and they need to do it very fast, go to the original, the source of help.
Go to Aaron. He's the guy. He was the guy for me. And hopefully he's the guy for you. And he'll set you straight. He'll tell you what you need to do to get that 26